Woo! We are live, 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 live. Come on in the room. Everybody, come on in the room. Everybody. I don't even have a theme song for my own show. Hey, y'all. Hey. Hi. Waving to everybody.
Karen,
Yes!
how are
Hey,
you?
baby.
Can you hear me?
How are you?
I'm great. How are you? Oh, I need to raise this. I look very, very short. Sorry.
Oh,
Just
please.
let me just.
Hey, everybody. Let me get the volume up. I'm probably screaming and yelling. I am hot.
You are hot, Karen Slay.
Hey, y'all. I mean, not hot. I'm hot. But right now, I'm hot. I would wave to y'all,
That's
but I'm
good.
trying to figure this out. This is my first live. Well, my first hosting a live, but not my first live.
Oh, you've done this before. You kidding me?
Yeah. Get out of here. Get out of here. So good to see
So good to
you,
see you
Noah
too.
Stewart.
Happy summer.
Woo. It's been a summer.
It has been,
Happy summer. Are you ready? Are you ready?
every day I wake up and it feels like it's ground. Remember that movie Groundhog Day? I think like Bill Murray was it, and you wake every day is the same. I'm thinking,
Mm-hmm.
okay, let's jump in and do it. How's it been for you?
It's been crazy. I mean, well, first of all, I have to say thank you to the Dallas Opera. Thank you to W. Lomelli for sharing his platform with me. She was sharing his platform, letting me guest host his show.
Yes,
I am a big fan of all the things that they've done to push opera into the 21st century with everybody else.
yes.
But shout out to everybody at Dallas Opera. And I'm going to be with you guys for the next few weeks, which is exciting. My show, Kiki Conversations, every Thursday, Facebook Live at 8 o'clock. Join us. We have some fabulous guests all the time. Fabulous conversation. Bring your wine, your cocktail, whatever it is. That's how we do it. But today, we have none other than the Noah Stewart, international tenor extraordinaire.
Oh, thank you,
Yes,
Karen. Thank you, Dallas
you
Opera.
know I love you.
Thank you, David, for having me. Oh, I have not been to Dallas yet, but I love Texas. I've been to Houston. I know that might be. I'm not sure if that's a rival of yours, but it's so great to see, and it's so great to see you, Karen. Oh my God, I miss you.
I know. We haven't seen each other. We just been texting.
It's like pen pal. We've been like
That's
pen
it.
pals with it's been an interesting journey. Interesting journey.
Absolutely. So tell everybody, so speaking of journeys, tell everybody about your journey, your path, and how you got started in this crazy business.
Oh, this business called opera, you mean?
Listen.
I
Yes.
discovered opera purely by accident. I grew up. Right now. I'm actually in my mom's apartment in Harlem, New York City, and I was born and raised in New York. And I discovered music when I was in elementary school. And it was one of these. Do you ever, Karen? Do you remember? Do you ever have like a choir that you did you sing in choir when you were younger?
Not so much when I was younger. Well, yeah, like in middle school in
Yeah,
church, of course, you know.
yeah. And I just kind of went, and every kid had a line in the Christmas show, and I was so scared to speak in public. And then in junior high school, there was an announcement on the loudspeaker that said, we're having auditions for choir. And I remember my mother saying, she just wanted to, I grew up in the 80s, and she just wanted to keep me out of trouble. So she said, whatever club or event that you can, keep yourself busy, just do it. And it just had to be free. That was the only stipulation. This had to be free because my mom is a single parent, and so I was on the chess team. I played basketball. In fact, I was on the basketball team with Macaulay Culkin from remember Home Alone? Remember
What? You never told me that.
Yeah. And so I joined choir, and the director was like, you good voice, but if you practice, it'll grow. And so she just accepted me because I was a boy, and boys at that age, I want to say, I don't know, 12, 10, 9, they're really not comfortable singing. And I loved I loved kind of putting notes with language together. And I thought, wow, this is interesting, because classical music was not. I mean, my mom, my whole family is actually from Louisiana. So Saturday, we would clean the house, and we would have Marvin Gaye on, Gladys Knight, rhythm and blues, jazz,
Motown, yep.
you know, Ella Fitzgerald. And so classical music was this new language. I thought, this could be interesting. Bach, okay, I don't really know. And my mom, I was really lucky to have such a supportive parent, and she just kind of just let me delve into this world that that kind of kept me away from the trappings of this crazy metropolis called New York City. And and while I was in choir, I practiced every year. I got stronger and stronger. As a boy alto, which is so funny. and I won my first competition singing singing the spiritual witness at the New England, I think, competition, whatever it was. And that was the first indication that I might have a career in music. But I wanted to be an engineer. I love math and I love science. And I purely discovered music as an accident, really. And fast forward, I auditioned at LaGuardia High School. Remember the famed school? I wanna live forever. I wanna learn.
That's what we all grew up,
right?
Looking at Fame,
right? And
yes.
I went to LaGuardia High School, and I auditioned, and I literally fell in love. And I took opera workshop for the first time in my second year, and I did my first opera when I was 12 years old. It was remember the song Se ben crude mi fai languir.
Yep.
This is where this opera is from, and I think it was a North American premiere we did. We were so proud to do this, and I think it was like 3.5 hours long. People were sleeping because they'd never really experienced opera, and I know I will never ever forget it, because we worked so hard on every day on the recitative and the arias. And for me, opera was the greatest, and still is the greatest, performing arts platform that we have, because it combines acting and singing and art and orchestra, and to put that all together. I mean, we worked our butts off, and we were so proud. And my opera workshop teacher, his name was Peter Ludwig, he saw this spark in me, and that really just ignited this opera bug. And being across the street from the Metropolitan Opera, if you haven't been to New York City, LaGuardia High School is directly across the street from Lincoln Center and Juilliard.
Yes, it is.
And so artists would come over, and we would get free tickets, and they would say, who wants to go to the opera tonight? And my hand would always be up. And so I got to see people like Pavarotti sing his final Tosca at the Met, and Derbavoit, and the Ring Cycle with James Morris and Hildegard Behrens. And it
as a kid,
and I was just there. I was just, a black kid from Harlem, who had never been to the opera. I was going to the opera 3 times a week, just because I'm getting kind of emotional, just because I was there. And my teachers are so vital and so important in our society, because they saw something in me, and they said, you know what, you love this thing called opera and classical music, and I want to give you as much as I can. And I was really blessed to have that experience. How did you get into opera?
My God. Well, it's very similar to you, to your story, going to arts high school. So we were like the fame in Philly, Kappa,
Yes.
where many of our friends, Shannon Devine and Kenneth Overton were in my my time there, and
Yeah.
I had an amazing teacher, David King, who changed my life. He introduced me to opera. He introduced me to voices that sounded like my voice. I always had a big, loud voice as
Yes.
growing up.
Beautiful.
Yes, as a kid. And so I would hear voices that sounded like mine, and I was forever changed. Seeing Miss Norman at the Academy of Music. Well, hearing Miss Norman at 14, Jessie Norman, was tremendous for me. And and to hear Denise Graves sing live, I mean, incredible, amazing, incredible.
What did
So that's how I got into
what did it
music.
sound like? What did it sound like when you were that age? Do you remember like what it sounded like to hear those voices?
Mind blowing, mind blowing.
Totally.
I mean, it's something inside of me came alive, and I said, I want to do that. I want to do that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to make those sounds. I want to be that amazing.
And have that
Yeah,
spine tingling. No? The-
yeah, exactly, exactly. You can't even describe it. You can't even describe it. And when you try to mimic the sound when you're a kid, listening to like Miss Price sing Aido, over and over and over
yeah.
again, when I was in the 10th grade, I mean, crazy,
And you say, I
amazing.
hope to do that.
So like, yeah, yeah. I mean, and to think that we've been able to do, we've been able to do the thing that we wanted to do, and still being able to have opportunities. You think about the 16-year-old, 14-year-old kids from the inner city being able to be on freaking Instagram
Right.
for the Dallas Opera
Yeah.
talking about opera.
Yeah. And and do you remember when you ever tell your friends, were they very supportive when you said, I want to be an opera singer? Like what did your friends think and your family think of you going into classical music?
Always very supportive. I mean, I married my childhood sweetheart. I remember telling Robbie, I'm going to be an opera singer when I was like 15 or 16. He's like, okay. No idea. Like, who, okay, well, do whatever. My friends were always very supportive. My family is only one lady in my life as a kid that said that thought that I was crazy to think that I could become an opera singer.
Really?
She's dead now, so
Okay, well there you go.
she's
Rest in peace to her. But I will say, I remember when I was in high school, the thing that really changed my life and um, was the person who really changed my life was Leontine Price. And we
talk
had,
about that. Mm.
and I think I told you the story a long time ago, but we had, remember laser discs came out? It was those giant records. And
Yes.
we had this new machine that played laser discs, and we had Handel's Messiah. We had the Ring Cycle, which was like was like it was like a movie. It was almost like a 3D movie to see this, and we had Verdi's
Mm-hmm.
Requiem with the Bible version with
Mm-hmm.
Vancarian, Price, Cosotto, and
Right.
yeah, and I saw this black woman in a sea of European faces, and at this thought, and with a huge 80-piece orchestra, and I thought, who is this person I've never heard of before? And I became fascinated with this vision of seeing myself in an orchestra singing with soloists and this. But I was so struck by not only the power and the beauty of her voice, but
Mm.
also just the enormousness of the occasion. And
Mm-hmm.
months
Mm-hmm.
later, Leontine Price was coming to sign an autograph for her new red book of CDs, 8 disc or 10 discs that she,
Yes.
and so
Yes.
excited. And I think it was like the third person in line. I took my friend Holly, who's not even an artist, although she did sing. And I was so nervous to meet her. And I said, Miss Price, I want to be an opera singer like you. And she said, well, darling, Juilliard is the place for you. And I didn't know anything about Juilliard. other than it was across the street, and it was still New
Mm-hmm.
York. And every day I worked and worked and worked. And she gave me such sound advice. And months later, I auditioned for Juilliard, and I got a scholarship. And that's how I kind of, my whole journey began, because of seeing such an inspirational person. And this is why it's
That's
so important.
why representation, yes, that's why representation matters. That's why it's important to have diversity on the stage, diversity behind the stage, all these things, because people have to see themselves to believe that it's possible.
Right? And just having that goal, having a goal to look forward to. I remember, Joan
Mm-hmm.
Rivers, remember Joan Rivers, the amazing comedian who passed away?
Yeah.
She always would say her grandmother always wished that her greatest wish was for her grandchildren to have something to look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that right now, I think it's things are kind of tricky because things are so unsteady. We just don't know. But opera is that art form which draws you in, and it's so magnetic, and it is the thing that really, it can really move mountains. Music is the universal language that we all understand.
It is. I keep telling people all the time, imagine what COVID would be like without music, without art, without internet, without all of these things. I mean, it would be crazy,
So,
crazy.
what are your favorite operas, Karen?
I wasn't ready for that question. You know me, I love everything. I mean, my favorite thing to sing is probably Tosca and well, Aida.
You
No, I wouldn't say that.
you have a great toss.
Violetta. I love. People know that I've done a couple of Traviatas in my day. I would
Yeah,
have to say it was the most fun and complete. Desdemona. I
yeah,
love, but I love opera. I'm one of the crazy. Well, like you, I go to opera when I'm not singing, when I'm not working. I go
yes,
see my friends sing.
yeah.
I love to go to the opera. I mean, I do fall asleep in the opera, but we're gonna do better about that. Don't feel bad, people. Don't feel bad. It's real
Of
because it's
course.
dark and it's cozy
And
and
it's long.
or whatever. But yes, it's long. Yes. What are some of your favorite operas? Because you are like a library
Oh
of
my,
vocal history.
oh
Some
my
of your
God.
favorite singers.
I was always obsessed. I remember I was also going back to high school, and I remember kind of singing in the halls, and people would make fun of me all the time. They're like, "Uh-oh, here comes the Black Pavarotti, y'all. I heard him singing opera. He's gonna be, I think he's the Black Pavarotti." And so I just thought, who's Pavarotti? Okay, and so I went to the library, and I remember, okay, looking up, okay, Pavarotti's a tenor. Okay, what is a tenor? What is a tenor voice? And also, at that age, I also sang baritone, because at a certain age, when
Mhm.
you're a guy, your voice really doesn't really change and mature. It comes later. But I mean, Karen, you always had your voice. I mean, I remember hearing you when we first met, and your voice was so unbelievable, and I felt so intimidated because you blew everyone out of the water. And you were already such a mature artist that I looked up to, and you inspired me so much in my career and my life, and I'm so lucky and I'm so blessed to have met you on a bus in Italy.
On a bus in Italy, I should repost that picture after we're done. But on a bus in Italy, we were like 12 years old,
Yes,
and we hit it off immediately.
yes,
And for the whole summer,
yeah.
I remember you singing "Addio Fiorito Asil." Was it
No,
from Butterfly?
Ortivieta.
For what? Amorti Vieta.
Yes,
And I was like, oh my God, I'm in love with this person. It was the most incredible sound
yeah.
of a
Oh,
tenor voice. It reminded me of all the old recordings that I used to listen to with Kenny and Shannon. I used to like binge listen to so many old recordings. And so, it was a love of one another.
yeah.
Please tell us. We're not gonna talk any more about me. I got plenty of time to talk about me
Okay.
in the next month. So please tell us about how you go from graduating from Juilliard to this gigantic recording contract
Oh,
in London.
well,
I remember you calling me one day.
remember? And my role,
Yes.
the career for the life, I've always been, and one of the reasons why I chose opera and I loved opera and why I thought that opera would be a cool vehicle for me is because I was so obsessed with the technique of opera. And I mean, there's technique in anything. You know, there's technique in making an omelet. There's technique in making good coffee, which I just discovered throughout this COVID crisis. And I know you're a big fan of coffee, Karen. And
Yes.
I would listen to recording after recording, whether it be Trovatore, whether it be Iris by Mascagni, and I would just I needed to dive into the world of opera as this kid from Harlem because it was a new place. It was kind of like Star Trek, you know. It was just like going to this place where no one has gone before, and or was that Star Wars? I'm not sure, but I needed to go there, and when I was there, I didn't want to leave, and I remember discovering Cecilia Bartoli and Pertile and
Mhm.
Gigli, Benjamin Gigli, who was my favorite tenor, and going from the great singers of Italy to the great singers of France to the great singers of England to the great singers of Russia, and getting lost in
Mhm.
there, and this thinking, wow, I want to do all these things. And I had a wonderful teacher at the Juilliard School. Her name was Beverly Peck Johnson. And you remember Beverly.
Yes. Right. Of course.
And Beverly
Yes.
was,
Jason Ferrante and all
yeah,
of
she
that.
was
Mhm.
older. She was kind of like one of the pillars of Juilliard. And many wonderful artists worked with. Renee Fleming had worked with Beverly. Anna Moffo had worked, Giorgio Tozzi. And
Yes.
she was one of the greatest teachers I had because we went, she said, I said, you know, what should I work on? And she said, well, Noah, you go to the library and you find something that you want to sing. So I would go to the library and I would read the poetry and I would, you know, play through it on the piano. And so I would approach each piece the same, whether it be
Mhm.
O del mio amato ben or Celeste Aida or the Allmacht. I sang every
Mhm.
piece and I approached every piece with my whole not only my whole voice, but my whole heart and my
Mhm.
soul. And
Yes.
I wanted to bring a new experience or breathe new life into this wonderful art form, which is so old and so um, amazing. It was important for me to retain all the history the history and the tradition of Gigli. You know, he's you know
Mhm.
of
Mhm.
Caruso, of Pansel, of these you know Callas, of these amazing treasures that we have is and it was important to honor them in my seriousness and my desire. And so after Juilliard, I took a year off of school, which turned into 3 years, and I was in New York City, and I started working at a restaurant as a host, and because I was always very social, and my mom was a cashier at the Food Emporium, so I would always have to. They hired me because I was good at talking to people, and so most oftentimes reservations were running behind, so they would say, "Noah, can you talk to this guest?" You know, buy them a drink and also I would sing happy birthday to them and that because I had this voice and so whether they liked it or not they got you know a big old happy birthday and that for me that was it was such a wonderful part of my life because I developed not only I was developing my voice you know taking lessons but I developed my person being in New York City and meeting, you know, doctors and lawyers and you know people who just did everything, you know, every walk of life. And you know, New York is such an international city that I got to develop my life outside of music because so much of our
Mhm.
life is spent in front of a piano in a room or in a hotel.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
it's not a glamorous art form. It is very it can be very lonely at times and so I kind of developed that time of you know of being by myself and also knowing how to survive without music although music has always been the soundtrack of my
Mhm.
life and
Yes, that's interesting.
yeah and but I was you know I worked at Macy's selling watches and I worked at Diesel and I worked at Carnegie Hall you know This is Carnegie Hall. This is Noah. How may I help you? And I was the voice of Carnegie Hall for, for a long time. When I was at Juilliard, I was a switchboard operator. I mean, I've done everything. I've always found value in work. For many years, I love music and I love the arts, but I always felt that artists should do other things because art is so subjective, and 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 it's nothing like making something like it with a cup, to say something tangible, to say what, I made this, because the voice is something that really takes a long time to develop, and
Yes.
doesn't it? And
Yeah,
after
it does. I mean, I always talk about being
yeah,
comfortable being a student for your whole life
that's
and to have other interests, to fall in love, to get married, to have children, to have multiple streams of income, which is necessary now. You can't just have one way,
yeah.
that you make a living. So yeah, I hear what you're
And
saying.
you bring that energy to the music, and so I brought that experience to my auditions, and I auditioned at San Francisco Opera for their Maryland program, which you did, and that was your recommendation, Karen. And Sherry Grunwald heard me, and she's just like, Noah, you know, where have you been? Where's this voice been? I'm like, I've been in New York singing Happy Birthday and answering phones at Carnegie Hall. I've been, I've been struggling, and to be a young musician in New York City is such, this is an exciting thing, but it's so hard. It is so difficult to not only find the money to take voice lessons and to take coachings and to buy, to buy a suit but I'm so grateful for San Francisco Opera for giving me a chance, and for Sherry for and when I was at San Francisco Opera, I met people like Dolores Zacek who said, and I worked with Ted Puffer for a while, which was her teacher, and Jane Eaglin, and they were and Eric Halverson, and these amazing artists and opera singers were so encouraging to me, because here back in New York, people really didn't, I mean, I hate to say it, but they didn't care about me. They didn't get it. They didn't get it. And when I was at San Francisco Opera, I made my debut, and I did small compromario roles, but I got to go on stage in Verdi's Macbeth with Thomas Hampson, and it was an interesting
I remember.
story. I was role studying. I wasn't even covering. I was role studying the role of Macduff, which is the I was singing Malcolm, which is a tiny role, but I was role studying the tenor role, the major tenor role. And the tenor one night got ill, and so the conductor said, Noah, can you go on? And I said, and I had not at all walked the part. And I said, I'm maestro, I'm prepared. I've been singing this aria since I was, for years, and I've been studying like mad here in San Francisco. And I went on, and it was a huge success. And it was a success for them, but it was a success for me because I rose to the challenge. And, I was so scared, Karen. I mean, I was terrified, but I remembered all the amazing teachers that I had in my past preparing me. And how could I not, I have to pay homage and talk about the wonderful teacher that we both share, Igor Chichaikov, who,
Yes.
right? And Maestro Chichaikov was from Siberia, and he was the pianist, coach, conductor, and he was, I mean, the coach and pianist for Rosa Ponselle, who is, you can say, the godmother of opera. And Rosa Ponselle was the woman that Maria Callas looked up to. So Maestro, we would call him affectionately, he heard me when I was waiting tables, and he taught me for free. I had sometimes 3 lessons in New York City at the Ansonia, which is this historic building not very far from Lincoln Center, where Rosa Ponselle used to live, and she would walk to the Met every day when she had to sing. She didn't take a car. She wanted to walk and get the air. And Maestro heard this voice, and he said, you are going to be a spinto. You are a spinto, but you have to wait. and I didn't know what a spinto was, but it is a spinto tenor is you can say it's heavier than a lyric. So Pavarotti would be considered, I think, a lyric tenor or a true lyric tenor. Tucker, it's a heavier voice, and he knew that it needed time, just like wine, to mature and grow. And so
Yes.
he put the time, he put in the hours, and I'm so grateful that he taught this boy, for this naive kid, for free.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've kept that work ethic that he taught me with me. And so I took that from San Francisco, and I began my career after that debut. And years later, I got a call or email, I'm not sure, from Universal Records saying, we've seen your stuff. We think you are wonderful. Would you want to come to London for a meeting? And I did a demo in Vienna, and the next thing I knew, I was having a meeting with executives at Universal. But I already started my career after San Francisco Opera, singing things like Rodolfo
Mm-hmm.
and the Tragedy of Carmen, and places like Chicago Opera Theater were so vital in my beginning. Dr. DeCara from Michigan Opera Theater, who the amazing,
Yes.
he's one of my mentors, who heard me and he said, Noah, I want you on my stage. And Dr. DeCara was the reason he brought Joan Sutherland to Detroit to sing. I forgot. I'm not sure what it was. I'm not sure what opera it was, but Joan Sutherland and Pavarotti came to Detroit to sing an opera, and it was one of the just like Dallas Opera, having such a bringing international stars. Dallas Opera bringing Nicola Rossini, bringing Maria Callas in 1957. It was
Yes, of course.
it was so important to have someone like Joan there, and he also believed in me, and he said, Noah, you're not finished yet, but it's there, and
Mm-hmm.
I did, I think, 6 roles at Michigan Opera Theater, which was so important and so vital because we can practice in rooms like this all we want, but we have to
Right.
go on stage, and you have to let it, you can't be a javelin player or javelin thrower and practice in a bathroom. You need space.
Absolutely.
Um,
Space. And so talk about that. So like you have this recording and it comes out and you blow up and you're like selling out shows through the UK. You become the first, what? Please tell the
I
people.
become
The
I
first.
was the first a black singer to have a #1 on the classic charts, and it was a #1 album for, I think it was 11 weeks straight, and it debuted, I think it was 8 after Madonna, and I was nominated 3 times it's kind of like the Grammys, but the Classic Brit Awards.
Yes.
And it totally opened up my life. It totally opened up my life and my world. But it combined the wonderful thing I loved about the album. And after the album, I sang with every major orchestra in England, and I've done 2 solo tours or 3 solo tours, which combines opera and song and all of my experiences I've carried throughout the world. And
Mm-hmm.
I've enjoyed it so much because I've gotten to do everything. I've gotten to sing opera. I've gotten to sing, and my concerts are. I love my concerts because I get to connect with my audience in a different way than I do my opera. And
Yes, I do.
and you. I mean, you do, Karen. I don't know anyone better at both than you. And you've always
Oh,
been such a wonderful recitalist, and always translating and always doing. Your concerts are so unbelievable.
it's my passion. I love the storytelling. Every 3 minutes, it's a different thing. I mean, opera is my love. It's my, but that like the communication, the connection between the audience. That's why I love concerts. The connection between the maestro and the orchestra right there on the stage,
Yeah.
and then the audience. I mean, it's, to me, that's magical. It happens more often. The magic to me happens more often in those spaces than in opera because there's so many other elements,
Yes.
But I mean, love opera. I love communicating, but you know, I feel like as a Black artist, I have less constraints on me when I sing concert and recitals than when I sing opera. I don't know if you that's a part of how you feel about your concert
Absolutely,
career.
because I think that I think the tricky part of opera is because it has this, it's so steeped in tradition that and yesteryear they would do many traditional settings of opera, and so sometimes I would audition for a role and they would say, you know what, Noah, I would say, I really want to do Ballo, and Ballo Mascara by Verdi, and they would say, yeah, yes, but I'm not sure if he fits the vision of of the classic Ricardo or Gustavo and Ballo. And so I've definitely had to
Right.
fight against that in my career. And but I've always, in terms of people just kind of seeing me and not hearing my voice, because I always tell people, sure, just hear me once, just give me the opportunity to show you what I have, and I will wow you. And every time that I've gotten the opportunity, people always say, "Oh my God, I've never heard of you. Who are you? Where have you been?" And I'm like, "I'm here, but you have to open your eyes." And this
Yes.
is one of
Yes.
the things I think, not only in music, but we have, in terms of the human race, we have geniuses among us. We have people with the answers to the questions that we all need, whether it be medical questions, whether it be inventions. We have the questions, but we have to get beyond how people look and our skin tone and our sexuality and our class. And we have to give everyone the space to
Mm-hmm.
grow into and to present magic and answers and inspiration. And
Yes.
and that's one of the things I love and I miss about this time is traveling around and meeting my colleagues, because
Yes.
I can't think of a more of being inspired each day in rehearsal, and hearing someone like you sing and thinking, oh my God, I've never heard a voice like this before in my entire life. And when we did our first Tosca, was it last year?
Mhm.
You know,
Last winter. Yeah.
our first Tosca at Opera Birmingham, and together.
Yes. And we were fighting at the time. Let's tell the truth.
Yeah. We were fighting.
We were fighting people at the time because we were friends, we're like family or whatever, and there's a lot of stuff, emotional stuff going on. So we were like fighting and arguing, not talking to each other, like half talking to each other, and
As opera people,
still having to go out there and perform.
tenor and soprano. And this is the great thing about having rivalries. Opera always had rivalries. Always.
Yes.
And that's what, when you have rivalries, that's you bring out the best in each other. I remember you sing
Yeah.
your first I think we fought, and we had a rehearsal, and you sang your first aria, and I looked over like, oh, okay, 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 okay.
I was so pissed at you. I was like, I am,
but then
but
but
it helped. It helped
but what
I
was the
think the whole
result?
thing.
People went crazy for what we did.
They went they went crazy.
And then after we ate up and said, but Karen, don't you think, isn't it also all the emotions that go into creating a role and a
Mm-hmm.
concert, and also this life, that also, I mean, that's the thing that makes you so emotional.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah, we talk about that all the time. Yeah, I want to go back a little bit
Sure.
um to we often talk all the time. We talk all the time. We
Yes.
text. You're like my opera husband for sure.
Yes.
Talk about how different it was when we were coming through versus now. We often talk a lot about how everyone is so free, particularly Black gay men in our industry, how you're able to become to just be free. And it was not always like that. And
Oh,
so
Lee.
talk about that. Let's keep it real and talk about
Oh,
that.
oh, absolutely. Well, I mean, I remember growing up, or seeing my first my first opera singers or classical musicians kind of in person, and them being very, very guarded and very serious all the time. And I was really
Mm-hmm.
intimidated because I like to watch the Golden Girls, and I like to watch Three's Company, and I like to watch these, silly shows and cartoons. And I didn't think I loved opera, and I love, Tosca and Bohème and Traviata, but I also wanted to have a good time. And I understood that they were guarded because they were nervous to show their
Mhm.
whole self and their private life. And
Mhm.
I'm not saying that one should have to show everything about every facet of one's life, but it was strange for me to see how people could just not be afraid to just to be their whole selves. And but
Mhm.
the trend was, if you spoke against racial injustice or something that happened to you, whether it be sexual or anything inappropriately, if you spoke up, then you would be blacklisted. And there were instances I remember in my career early on that it's like street smarts. My mom always say use street smarts. It's like instinct when you feel something about to happen. And I had many encounters where I was in the presence of individuals, and I felt that something was going to happen. And because there weren't many black tenors singing opera at the time, although there are wonderful colleagues, Russell Thomas, Larry Brownlee, Ezekiel Savage, who are out here doing it in a major way, and they're wonderful voices. But back then, George Shirley was the black tenor. Professor Shirley, who I pay such homage to, who he was the first black tenor to ever sing at the Metropolitan Opera. And there weren't many people who looked like me doing it, and so it was challenging to navigate that of how to navigate through society. But then I went to England, and England was embraced me in a way that America did not. England saw
Mm.
me for me, and I'm overwhelmed, and I'm so grateful to the people of the UK and to the BBC. The BBC is a huge ally of mine, and I've lived out my dreams because of the wonderful people of the UK and so many of the wonderful people of the United States as well. But they gave me a platform and the space to be Noah, and to also to find out who I was as an artist and a person. Because I think the dangerous part about our society today is there's so many images. There's social media, there's TV, there are movies, there's advertising, and people are always telling you what to wear, what to act like, what is masculine, what is feminine, what is a hero, what is all these things. And when you're spending all this time thinking about what other people think about you, you are not spending the time thinking about who you are as the individual. And my time away from America, I grew the most. And I never thought
Mhm.
actually that I never thought I would come back to America after my debuts in England and the UK.
I remember.
And because
Mhm.
I, as a black man, am treated better in England and also the UK. And that's just whether it's negative or positive, it's the truth. I can feel it as soon as I get on the plane. I can feel it as soon as I step into a rehearsal room. People treat me better, um, and differently. I'm not saying that people
Mhm.
are not negative in the United States, but there is a certain, they see the whole me rather than the black tenor or the black opera singer.
Mhm.
And I was able to sing so many roles. I was able to sing Butterfly, Iris. I made my debut at the Bolshoi at Teatro Real. I sang my first Samson last summer at Merida. Um, um, just this such amazing experiences, but I got them by people giving me the opportunity and the space to to do it. But they said, I want that voice. I want that voice. They knew nothing about me, and I think that that has helped me. And this time also in quarantine has really helped me really grow and really get in touch again with myself, Noah, and also, what else do I like besides music? What else do you like besides opera? You know, Opera is
Mhm.
wonderful, but there's so many singers who go through life and and these little glass houses and bubbles, and I don't want my life to end, you know, sad and alone there's so much life out there. Take opera with you, and this is why it's so important to bring opera wherever we go in classical music, because there's nothing like classical music, and there's nothing like opera. I'm sorry. Still to this day, it's magnificent to go and hear a voice with orchestra. It's an emotional trigger, whether you like it or not. And I've sung it, I've sung it so many venues, whether it be Wembley or 80,000 people to karaoke at a pub, and people looking at me like, I don't know what you did.
Yeah.
I don't know what you just did, but I'm crying. This one guy at the bar,
Right.
he said, I don't know what you just did to me. I was singing like You'll Never Walk Alone or Maria from West Side Story. And he said, I don't know what you just did, but I'm crying. And this is why opera and music and classical music is so vital in today's society. We must fight like mad to preserve it. And
Yes.
and one of the things that's really different is that there's a generation shift. And so we, the younger ambassadors, must continue the tradition of mentorship and also continue our support of the classical music community.
Yeah, I'm big on mentorship. I'm big on taking people with you. I'm listening. I'll call you on the phone. Like, what are you doing?
But Erin, you have this amazing you have this amazing platform. Kiki Kong, please tell the people about your platform.
Oh, my Kiki Conversations. Well, it was born at my kitchen table, I say, talking to my husband. But you and I have talked about me doing things like this, I think, for a while. Yes. I do a lot of mentorship, always pouring into my friends all the time. I'm very, very, very passionate about sharing ideas and doing things. So anyway, and I love to talk, as everybody always knows by now. And my good friends know I love to have a cocktail and a conversation as well.
Absolutely.
And so I just said, well, why don't I just do it in time of COVID to like have these conversations with all of my friends over a cocktail and just talk about life, talk about this art, talk about themselves. And for me, the biggest thing is that artists get to be known more for more than their voice, for more than their gift. Yes. We hold all of our greatest singers and all of the superstars in this industry and all of the singers on these pedestals. We don't even know who they are. They're not these glass ballerinas. Like, we're not these precious little things. We are feeling, and human. And I mean, how many times have we cried? Oh, and just talked about life. And I think that it's important to know. To know classical artists, we have to put our real selves out there, any chance that we get, Absolutely. So conversations, that's what Conversations is. It's that kind of platform, and it's amazing. It's been so healing for me and so many people. Oh, and I haven't had you on yet because I'm on the right time.
No, it's been I've been tuning. We all, and I told you this, you are such a gift to the world, what you bring to the world, and you've always been so authentic and so, I don't know of a more complete artist than you. And I'm not just saying that just because we're on here and you're my best friend, but you have always been such an inspiration in terms of your work ethic, in terms of your truth, in terms of your professionalism. I remember we were in Italy, and we were all we were right off stage waiting to perform, I think, arias and spirituals, and we were having this competition, this battle, who's going to out-sing each other. Yeah. And, we were all kind of, taking little remarks at each other, and you were to the side, I'll never forget it, with a book, so composed, and you did not participate in any of the noise. And I thought, wow, Karen is so pure. And then you got up there and then you sang Ernali in Volami from Ernani, and you blew the roof off.
No, Vespri.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Verde.
Yes, the Bolero.
Siciliana, yes.
Yes. So you remember too.
Yeah. I mean, that was a memorable time, but yeah, I mean, sometimes I wish I had some of that focus that I had when I was, a kid. I had such a, now it's just more difficult to find it, because I think that it's naivete versus being aware that this is how you eat, this is how you survive, this is your career. And I mean, I think that during this time of COVID, please tell the people why we have 10 minutes. Because first of all, Instagram is very shady and they give you 1 hour.
Okay, really? Okay. Okay.
Oh, honey, they give you 1 hour. So we got 10 minutes.
Okay.
And so talk about the time of COVID.
Oh, COVID. Okay.
And
So
what's
the
going
first,
on.
I think it was March. It happened in March, right before. So before COVID, I
Mhm.
was preparing to make my debut at Master Voices singing Jose, here at Lincoln, well, at
Mhm.
the Jazz and Lincoln Center at Columbus Circle, and it would have been my New York City debut. I hadn't sung in New York City at all. Being a native from here,
Wait a
I don't,
minute.
I don't
You're
know
in
if any.
hometown and you have.
I couldn't believe it. Like, I don't know. I think after Richard Tucker, I'm the. I mean, I'm sure there are other tenors from New York
Come on,
City,
Richard Tucker
but
and Noah Stewart.
Tucker is, I think that I'm going to be the greatest American tenor after Richard Tucker. I always thought that. So,
Yeah.
no shame in my game. Anyway, so I was preparing to sing Carmen, and COVID happened, and I went into a complete depression, complete and utter depression. At first, I kept myself busy, and I was still practicing Jose because the performance had been postponed for a month, and so I said, okay, I'm going to work on my dialogue more. I'm going to work on the role more. And then I was studying. I think started studying Norma Polione, the role of Polione in Norma, and I started studying Bacchus to keep my mind busy. I didn't want to believe that everything would be done. And then I kind of shut off, and I started running. And
Yes.
for me, running is just getting outside. I needed to get outside, and I had my mask on, and I would run and run because I needed to get out the energy that I would put in for a performance. I needed to get that out. And when you finish a performance, how you feel exhausted. You just feel.
Yes.
And so I've been home. I've been helping my mom fix up the apartment. I've been cooking like mad. I've been eating. What have you been doing?
Trying to keep afloat, keep my mind right. My show. I've been doing my show and trying to figure out what my next step is. What I want to do with my life. Yeah, it's not working out as much as I should because I'm just, so it's just been so crazy. June was very, very stressful for many reasons.
Yes.
But just reconnecting with my husband because he was, he got, when we was unemployed just like myself, the job shut down. And so we've gotten closer. We fixed our house up, so all of the things that I've unpacked suitcases that I had that I've been ignoring, and getting on the cat's nerve, of course, you know how that goes. And so it's been a crazy time, but a time of transformation. But I still don't think that I've realized all of the things that have happened. Yes, how the world has changed. The movements that have happened, the things that I've also been a part of, the change. But I think that I have the next couple projects that I have. I think all of the emotions going to come out in them, and I'm very, very scared for that.
Yes.
Because I've not had that moment of breakdown. I've had lots of breakthroughs.
Yes.
In this time, but I have not had that breakdown, and I'm very afraid of that.
I had a moment yesterday when I woke up, and I was talking to my mom, and I just started crying. One of those hard, ugly cries. And I was crying because also we are at a point in our lives where the prime of our careers are just starting, and the prime of our voices, like our voices will be the best of where we are from now and for the next 10 years. And to think that you're getting, it's like you're a plane getting ready to go and take off, and you circled the runway for 25 years. You've circled the runway waiting to take off, and you waiting to take off, and all of a sudden you get grounded, and it's kind of heartbreaking, and it makes you nervous, and I feel scared. I'm not sure of what the next of what it's going to look like tomorrow, but it gives me hope. Looking forward, coming full circle, looking forward to seeing myself to sing Polione or to sing Bacchus or to sing another project will bring me some kind of relief.
Yes, and it will come, and hopefully Dallas Opera will call us.
Yes, I would be
We'll be able
lovely.
to the Dallas Opera stage, you know, their audiences. But we have 5 minutes left, which is a nice time. If anybody has any questions, but like, what would you like to say to the audience
I just
and
want to
share with us?
I just want to say, I mean, besides thank you for tuning in, thank you to the Dallas Opera for having me on, thank you, Karen, for having me on. I would say that it's going to be up to us really to get our hands dirty if we want to keep and do the work if we want to keep classical music and opera alive in this country. Musical theater got a huge boost from shows like, I mean, there have been many shows like Wicked but Hamilton totally changed the game in terms of musical theater to kind of boost musical theater into the next chapter. And you know, live television, NBC's premieres of different musicals, but opera, we need that boost as well. And I feel like we're all waiting for, you know, people with lots of money to come and contribute, but I really believe it's going to be up to us individually to get in and get our hands dirty and to promote opera, to tell people about this wonderful art form, which is so vital, important, to get out there and also, you know, bring your rates down. Voice teachers, voice lessons are a lot of money. And I know we're all hurting out here, but, you know, in order for us to get better, we need to be led. And so we're going to all have to humble ourselves. And if we really love the art, we're really going to have to do the work to really push opera into the future where it needs to be. It is so important and it's so vital. And we have so much young talent out here that needs to be heard and discovered.
Absolutely. That's the companies and the gatekeepers making space for more than just the top 10 people that get to sing. It's very important too, because there are a lot of people who are doing the work, who are doing the ambassadorship,
Yes.
but they don't have the platform.
Yes.
They don't have the support. And there is enough room for more people. I mean, yes, there is. I mean, you know, I always say opera has the Audra McDonalds, the Norms, you know, all of those people who will shut stuff down.
Yes.
And have spoken up, you know, about racial injustice, about, you know, classism and all these things we don't have that in opera, that people are able to put their careers on the line and say, no, I'm not going to sing here. I'm not going to do this until this injustice is you know, righted. We don't have those people who look like us, who have the platform to do those things. And I think that if we really want to do the work, we have to commit to, like you said, getting your hands dirty, doing the thing, right?
And coming together.
Yes.
You know,
yes,
we have to come together
as a community. I'm sorry, there was a question, Noah. Is there a role you'd love to perform next?
Oh, you know, I have been preparing the big O, Verdi's Otello. I've been preparing him for the past 3 years. Otello is the quintessential role for tenor. He's extremely difficult. You know, not only for the vocal aspects, for the voice, but also, you know, the iconic acting role. You know, Shakespeare's Othello is one of my favorite plays. And so I've been preparing him and getting him ready for the future, because everyone always said, Noah, you're going to be the Othello, but you have to wait. And I'm like, okay, I'll wait. So this COVID has given me an excuse.
Try it. All right, we got 1 minute left. Next 5 roles you want to sing. 5 roles.
Otello, Ballo and Mascara, I'm doing early Wagner, but coming up in a couple of seasons. But Parsifal, Lohengrin, Karloff. I would love to take a stab.
You didn't tell me that.
Yeah, I've been working on the arias, and it turned out it's one of those operas. It's weird. Everyone always thinks of Birgit Nielsen, and they never ever really think about the tenor. They always think of Nessun Dorma, but it takes, you know, you have to know how to sing that role, and I think I'm ready to take on that role. But you know, I can sing any. What about you? What roles do you want to sing?
Ballo. I want to sing Hotel Desdemona.
Yes.
I want to do Arabella. I want to do Ariadne. Hello.
Yes.
Ariadne. I'm
together.
going to do a Strauss Wagner concert this year. Anything with long soaring line. Vanessa. I'd love to do Vanessa, the opera. I know.
Yes.
Yeah, and create more roles, create more opportunities for myself and for other sopranos, you know, to take on later is very important. For me, we have 15 seconds.
But
Thank you guys.